In this video, we are going to talk about how to find the equation of a tangent line. So just as a reminder, when we talk about tangent lines, we are talking also about the derivative. But when we talk about a tangent line, we have a curve and we're finding a line that intersects the curve at one point and best models the slope. So this point and this curve share two things in common. They share the slope and they share the point of tangency, it's called, which is that point. So if this point was A, f of A, they would share that point and they would also share the slope. And remember the slope, we use the derivative. So we would say f prime of A. So when we write the equation of a tangent line, we need to first find the slope by finding f prime of A. And that's finding the first derivative and then plugging in our value of A. Now, for the one homework, they ask you to use the definition of the derivative to find the slope of the tangent line. But for this assignment, they don't specify. So you are allowed to use the power rule to find the slope. And then once we find the slope, we need to find f of A if they don't give it to me. Some of the problems will give it to you. But if they don't, then you plug your x value in, which they should always give you, into your original function, and that will give you the y value, which is f of A. And then you will find the equation of the tangent line by plugging in f prime of A, f of A into this equation, or you can also use the equation y equals mx plus b. And you can plug in your m, which would be your f prime of A there. And then you can find b by plugging in your x value that you found and your f of A or your y value that you found and solve for b. So this format is called point slope form. I don't know how many people are familiar with it, but if you are, you can use it, and sometimes it's a little bit faster. And so for this form, you do y minus whatever the y value or f of A value is equals, and then your slope, which is again the derivative, and then parentheses x minus your A value. So I'll do it both ways, and you can do whichever way you're more comfortable with. So this says, find the equation of the tangent lines at x equals 2 for f of x equals x squared. So we need to find the slope, and they didn't give me the y value at x equals 2, so I also have to find that. So to find the slope, have to find the derivative. So again, we can use the power rule because they didn't specify, use the definition of derivative. So for the power rule, we take the exponent and we bring it to the front. We leave our x and then we subtract 1 from the exponent. So this becomes 2x to the first, or just 2x. That's the derivative. And then if I plug in my x value, because I'm finding the slope at this specific x value, I plug in 2 for x, and that gives me 4. So this is my m, my slope of my tangent line. And then we need the point. So I have the x value, I need the y value. So the y value at x equals 2 is the same thing as f of 2. And I get that by plugging 2 into the original function. So I plug 2 in for x, and 2 squared is 4. So then it's up to you if you use this formula or if you just use y equals mx plus b, and then you'll solve for b. But if I use this formula, the tangent line of formula, we would do y minus my f of A, and A again is 2 in this case, because that's the x value they gave me. So f of 2 would be 4 equals, then I do my derivative at 2, which is 4, parentheses x minus, and my A value is the x value they give you, which is 2. And depending on the homework question or what they ask, you might have to get this into this format, y equals mx plus b. On an exam, you're welcome to leave it like this, either unless it specifies to put it in slope-intercept form. But if it doesn't, you can leave it like this. But I think most of the homeworks ask you for in the format y equals mx plus b. So if that's the case, you'd have to distribute your 4. So I would get 4x minus 8, and then I would move this 4 to the other side by adding it to its like term, and I would get y equals 4x minus 4. Now, if you don't want to memorize another equation, and if they specifically ask you to put it in slope-intercept form, it's probably just easier to just use this format. So we would use y equals mx plus b. And we found our m to be my derivative, which is 4. And then we also need to find b, and b is the y-intercept. So to find b, I plug up the point that I know. So I know that when x is 2, we found that the y value is 4. So this is my point, and I would plug this in for x, this in for y. So y would be 4, and then x would be 2, and then I can solve for b. So I get 4 equals 8 plus b, and then I would subtract 8 from both sides to get b by itself. And so that would give me negative 4 equals b, and then just make sure you actually write the equation. So my tangent line would be y equals my slope, which was 4x, and then my b minus 4. So notice either way, I get the same answer. It's just which way you prefer. So we are going to do one more example. This one says find the equation of the tangent line to y equals 2x squared minus 2x plus 4 at 2, 8. So in this case, they did give me both the x value and the y value. So I don't have to find the y value, but I do need to find the slope. So to find the slope again, we have to take the derivative. So this derivative, we bring this 2 down and multiply it by that 2. So 2 times 2 is 4x. And then it'd be 2 minus 1, which is 1. And if you put the 1 there or not, it doesn't matter. And then this is minus the derivative of negative 2x is just 2. And the derivative of a constant is 0. So we don't need that. So this becomes my derivative. I'm going to plug in my x value to find the slope at that point. And just remember, we generally don't put the 1. So I'm just going to write it as 4x minus 2 for the derivative. And I'm plugging in 2 for my x. So I get 8 minus 2, which is 6. So that's my slope. And then if we just use the y equals mx plus b format, because like I said, I believe most of the homeworks ask you to put it in this format. We are going to plug in our y value, 8, our slope, which is 6, my x value, which is 2, and then put plus b because we need to find b. And then we get 8 equals 12 plus b. To get b by itself, we would subtract 12 from both sides, and we get negative 4 equals b. And so my tangent line is y equals the slope, which is 6x minus 4 or plus negative 4. And that would be the equation of my tangent line. So that's how you find the equation of the tangent lines. If you have any questions, please let me know.